I Doubt It podcast with Brittany Page and Jesse Dollemore.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Episode 962 of I Doubt It podcast. I am your host, as I always am, Jesse Dollemore, and I'm joined today, as I always am, by the lovely, talented, and scholarly Brittany Page.
I think I want to start the show with some positive news because there's not going to be a lot of positive news on today's show, you know, with the Epstein Files release and the fascism that we're constantly witnessing every day. So let's start with some good news. And that is that
Nicki Minaj is Donald Trump's number one fan. Is that not the good news?
The good news, no, it has nothing to do with Nicki Minaj. So the good news is that 5-year-old Liam, who was used as bait in Minneapolis to kidnap his father and kidnap Liam and send them to a detention facility in Texas, send them to a concentration camp in Texas. Liam is back home with his father.
Oh, I knew that a judge had ordered the release, but he's already there. He's already home.
He's back home.
Wow, that is good news.
He's wearing his bunny hat again. And Joaquin Castro posted on Blue Sky yesterday, 5-year-old Liam and his dad, Adrian, were released from the Dilley Detention Center. I picked them up last night and escorted them back to Minnesota this morning. Liam is now home with his hat and his backpack, and he has photos of him on the couch in his home. It's very nice to see. Of course, you have to hold like two things at once, which is it's so good that he has been returned home with his father, and also thinking about the thousands of other children that are still in these camps being held in horrific conditions. And it is what you said about this judge that ordered the release who just went to town on the Trump administration. The judge included a photo of little Liam in his bunny hat, like we saw, like when the photo that went viral included that in his ruling, and also put Bible verses, Matthew 19:14, which is "Let the little children come to me," and John 11:35, Jesus wept, is what they put in parentheses here. So
plenty of other scriptures that probably would have been a little bit more hard hitting, but you do you, Judge.
Well, and in the federal order, the judge wrote, quote,
if there are foreigners living among you, you will treat them with kindness. You, too, were refugees in the land of Egypt. How about that? How about Leviticus? A little Leviticus for the MAGA crowd, no?
So Jesse loves to take us to church, and we love it when he does. We love it when he does.
All right.
The judge apparently in that court order cited the Declaration of Independence, the grievances against King George III, including the swarms of officers to harass our people, and wrote, quote, we the people are hearing echoes of that history. So
very good.
Yeah, it's nice when there's some break in the madness.
It should be pretty telling to America and Americans out there that you feel like, oh shit, Donald Trump actually followed the orders of a federal judge.
Right.
Like that tells you where we are in America right now when you're pleasantly surprised that the executive of the country, the president of the United States, decided to abide by the strictures and restrictions and limitations of his power as president put upon him by a co-equal branch of government. I'm good. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So that is a brief moment of reprieve, and now on to the horrors. And we're not talking about my eyeball, which is red and scratchy, and if you're noticing it, don't say anything
about it. No one's
okay?
noticing the scratchy eyeball.
I think I have frostbite on my eyeball. And
is that it?
Since we live in America, I have to outsource my healthcare to the YouTube comment section, so please let me know what you think. Weigh in on that. Love to be in America.
That is funny. I see that all the time on like threads.
Yeah.
Where people are like, I've got this thing, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I mean, one, you're like, well, you should probably go see a doctor and not be asking a bunch of dumb shits on social media. But also, maybe they don't have a doctor.
Yeah.
It is... Again, you just want to just drag us into the nightmare that is America right now, Brittany Page. Good job. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You don't want to ask ChatGPT because then you'll just have it hallucinating all kinds of things that are not useful to you. It'll start telling you to kill yourself.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're lucky, it'll hallucinate. If not, it's going to tell you how to tie the knot on the noose to kill yourself.
You know what is remarkable is sometimes Elon is posting now attacking ChatGPT and saying, yeah, it's really dangerous. It's
right.
Grok is generating very problematic things, very criminal.
C-Sam McGee over here.
Horrific things.
In the Epstein Files, begging to go to the Epstein rape island.
There you go.
Elon Musk.
Right. And he had been denying that this whole time. So we got more Epstein files.
Millions more documents.
Yes, it's not. I think they're still saying there's millions more that have not been released.
Well, let's preface what we're getting ready to say with this.
Yeah.
They're not releasing the worst stuff. We still, as bad as the things that were released in this tranche of video or documents, and there's, I guess, were there videos or just photos?
I think there were videos.
As bad as that was, and trust, it was bad. It's not the worst of it. They're holding back all of the worst items and elements, redacting Donald Trump's name. His name, he was in the Epstein Files over 1,000 times, the count is at this point. He's not an innocent bystander in all of this by the account of many, many people who are experts.
Yeah, so the DOJ released millions of new documents and photos, but at the press conference when Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche was discussing what they released, he did note that they are not including images showing, quote, death, physical abuse, or injury in the release.
Which you would, when you extrapolate that out, come to the conclusion that they didn't include that, meaning it's there and wasn't included. That it exists. There are videos or documentation of death that they didn't include.
Right. So
Donald Trump's best friend of 15 years.
So it's really scary stuff because some of the allegations do involve some of these girls being murdered and their bodies being disposed of. I mean, some of those are the allegations. People will be quick to say those are just like tips that came in. They weren't necessarily investigated.
I'm seeing a lot of people who I believe are credible who are like, well, let's not jump to conclusions. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, they're not saying those words, but it's like, well, that's a little fantastical. Come on, that seems like a conspiracy theory. The fuck it does. If you've read any of these documents, if you've read any of these emails from people saying, I really enjoyed the torture video, and then they email back and forth with Jeffrey Epstein about it. Their name, of course, is redacted.
Yeah, so I think this news package that we're going to play for you is kind of a brief overview of some of these notable figures that are now revealed having been in contact with Jeffrey Epstein, discussing travels to the island, discussing women, discussing various things. And they've tried to deny that they were in close contact with Jeffrey Epstein now, of course, right? People say that. But these emails are revealing otherwise about some notable figures, including, like we said, people like Elon Musk.
This also comes as we're learning for the first time about Jeffrey Epstein's contact with Elon Musk. You may remember Elon Musk dropped what he described as a really big bomb last year. Trump was in the Epstein Files, and that was the real reason that they had not been made public. Well, it turns out, based on what we saw today, Musk is also in the Epstein Files. Emails show that he tried coordinating multiple visits to Jeffrey Epstein's private island. In one from 2013, Elon Musk asked Jeffrey Epstein, when should we head to your island? The year before, he said, what day night would be the wildest party on your island? Now, this is after Musk claimed, in all caps, I should note, last year that, quote, Epstein tried to get me to go to his island, and I refused. Musk's representatives did not immediately respond to CNN's request for comment for explanation for those emails and that contact. And speaking of distancing and denials, recall what President Trump's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said just last year about a 2005 encounter that he had with Epstein at his Manhattan townhouse.
I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me. Ooh. And he says, and the right kind of massage. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Okay, so that was 2005. The files released today showed that Howard Lutnick tried to meet or call with Epstein several times after 2005, much longer after. A 2011 email to Jeffrey Epstein from his assistant reads, "Howard Lutnick will come see you at 5 p.m. That same year, the heading of an alarm message reads, "Drinks with Howard Lutnick." And Lutnick also emailed Jeffrey Epstein's assistant in 2015, inviting Epstein to a Democratic fundraiser for Hillary Clinton that he was hosting. Asked for comment on these emails and the correspondence between the two, a spokesperson for the Commerce Department told CNN Secretary Lutnick had limited interactions with Mr. Epstein in the presence of his wife and has never been accused of wrongdoing.
So, right. Howard Lutnick, again, another close person in the Trump circle, denying. You hear the story. He's like, I would never be around this disgusting person ever again. And then his emails are like, hey, guy.
Yeah, after he claimed to have cut off ties.
After he claimed to cut off ties. And after, by the way, it's important to talk about the timeline here. Jeffrey Epstein's first arrest occurred in 2008, and that was for soliciting a minor for prostitution. And that case involved a 14-year-old girl. And so many of the emails that we're talking about here are post-2008.
Oh, yeah, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2018, 2019.
There's no way that these people can claim that they didn't know. And that's why they're not doing that. That's why in Howard Lutnick's response, he's saying that he was always, his wife was always there. His wife was always watching him.
Yeah.
His wife wouldn't let him do that. You know, Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison. You know, you try to say, I was with a woman. Yeah, women were evidently participating, looking the other way.
Is a woman.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They were participating and looking the other way. So you saying I was there with my wife is, I don't know, not the defense that you think it is.
Not only that, there's the tale of the victim who was invited to one of these parties as a young model with her mother, and Marla Maples allegedly caught them in the bathroom and said, stay away from Donald. Whatever you do, stay away. The wives knew. Mm-hmm. The wives knew.
Yeah.
Also, can we dispense with, please, for the love, CNN, can we dispense with we just want to get it on the record that Donald Trump has never been accused of anything. Oh, he hasn't been accused of anything? These people haven't been accused of anything? I would say by virtue of the fact that their name is in the Epstein Files thousands of times, associating with a known convicted trafficker of young girls and rapist of young girls, there's been accusations made.
Yeah, and of course, the package there that you heard from Caitlin Collins started with Elon Musk. And Elon Musk, of course, you know, he was running Doge, and then he and Trump had the falling out. And Elon Musk, in that falling out, accused Donald Trump of being in the Epstein Files. He was like making this dramatic post about now is the time to reveal he's in the Epstein Files. And then they started hanging out again and they're friends again, because you can just kind of casually accuse someone of being a sexual predator in these circles and then you're friends again. Because as we see based on these emails, they don't really have high moral standards. And so
or any at all.
Yeah, Elon Musk has repeatedly said that he never had a close association with Jeffrey Epstein, that he never went to the island. Then he tried to say that Jeffrey Epstein was always trying to get him to go to the island. Mm-hmm. And now we see in these emails that it was actually Elon who
Which day's the wildest party, Jeffrey?
Yeah.
Tell me.
What day or night will be the wildest party on the island? Oh, really? He was always begging you to go. It wasn't the other way around.
And now isn't he saying, listen, I'm such a hot commodity. I can get so much ass. I don't need Jeffrey Epstein to get me ass. Well, isn't that kind of what he's doing now?
He's using a similar argument that I think Prince Andrew has used in the past, which is that if they wanted to party with essentially young women, is what they call it, that they wouldn't need to go through another person. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I don't really buy that, because a lot of this was predicated on the fact that Epstein was the fall guy. And he took the fall for a lot of these men that are still being protected. I do want to highlight, because I went to find that email while we were listening to the clip, because you can search these files in the database just by using keywords. And I put torture in, the word torture, into the file. Almost 700 results involving the word torture. So I did torture video, and then I'm able to more quickly find the email that you were referencing, which is from Jeffrey Epstein to redacted. It is blacked out, and it is on Friday, April 24th, 2009. And Jeffrey Epstein writes, "Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video." Yeah. What is going on? Why is that name redacted?
Yeah, where the fuck is QAnon? Where's all the QAnon patriots who weren't going to stand for this cabal of child rapists? Where are they? Cricket, cricket, cricket. I mean, I have a sound.
I know.
Here.
I was like,
what am I doing? I have the technology.
yeah, I was going to say. So the survivors, the Epstein survivors, have actually made this point, and they're the ones that should really be centered in this conversation because they're the ones that want these documents released. They're the ones that want these abusers' names unredacted so that the public knows who they are, so that accountability can take place. And so the survivors have come forward to say, what the hell, Department of Justice? You have redacted names of abusers, like whoever received this email from Jeffrey Epstein about a torture video. And you have unredacted survivor names, including Jane Doe's.
Yeah.
and
their faces.
And photos.
And girls under 18, their faces unredacted.
Yeah, so one of the Epstein survivors, Jess Michaels, went on to discuss the specific incompetence here, the sloppiness, I don't know. Is it incompetence? Is it sloppiness? Or is it motivated?
Oh, I think it's motivated.
Is it intentional? I certainly know that protecting certain identities is likely intentional, but what about the sloppiness of revealing survivor information when that's not what they want?
I actually brought a little show and tell for you, Caitlin. You know how I heard you speaking with the attorney before this about the 302s, and this is what the only 302 that could be found so far in the files by someone that was combing the files for hours. It was 7 pages, and 4 of them looked like this. So we know that the victim's name is here, right? And that's appropriately redacted. So what is all of this? So there's no way for me to say to you that there's closure here. This is the exact opposite of transparency.
I mean, it must be so frustrating for you to look at that and to see just completely blacked out in the entire page.
And then we've seen pages where they're blacked out and the only thing not blacked out was a survivor's name. It is such incompetence. It is sloppy. I mean, if any one of us did our jobs the way the DOJ did this job, we wouldn't be working humans. We would lose our job. We would lose our place in a company because this particular job has been so egregiously done, horrifically done.
If you had been at that press conference today at the Justice Department, what do you think you would have asked?
I would have asked, then what's this? What is missing from this page? Because one of the things that he said was about the fact that there's no list of men, there's no treasure trove of men. Then what is this? What is missing here? This is not a survivor's name. There's no survivor's name that is this long. So what I'd like to ask any of them in the Department of Justice is, what is this? This is a victim statement. The only thing that was supposed to be redacted was her name. So this is clearly protecting someone, something.
Because what would be in there would be theoretically, and what we've seen from other 302s is that's when they interview someone who has filed a complaint, and that's their account of what happened to them.
Exactly. And so to stand on that podium and say, well, there's no names here, and to hear for months now, there's nothing in this, there's no reason, but then there should be no reason to have a black page. If there's nothing there, then what are you redacting? That's what I would have said to him.
It's clear you don't think that they're complying with the law here. If, when they're supposed to release everything, you're getting pages that are entirely redacted.
Yeah, I don't know how any American, I see in my comments all the time, people are like, oh, I feel so sad and sorry for you and all of the survivors. And I remind people, this isn't just about us. This is a Department of Justice that's showing the American people who they are. And everyone should be concerned about that. They are defying a clear law signed by the president, and it is now 41 days, and then they haven't even complied with the reasons for redaction. So there's not even anything that comes with this big black box that says why this was redacted. That deadline passed weeks.
And it's really admirable of her to say that it isn't necessarily even about the survivors. It speaks to the DOJ's priorities right now. But it is particularly alarming because we're talking about men who were complicit in upholding a network of sexual abuse of children. And for a long time, we've heard conservatives talk about how their priority is like protecting sexual abuse of children. That's the claim when they attack the trans community. That's the claim when they want to ban books in libraries. That's the claim when they, all these little culture war issues, right? And here is evidence of men being complicit and eager and very, very sick and twisted and disturbed.
And premeditated in that. And
they don't seem to have an interest in exposing their names. Why?
Well, the very opposite. There's an interest and a concerted effort. There's a conspiracy afoot to hide the names of these individuals. And there's not a Republican out there right now that is, other than maybe two, Thomas Massie and occasionally Marjorie Taylor Greene, that are criticizing the DOJ's recalcitrance and cover-up.
Yeah, but let's talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, because she said that she would read the names.
She promised she would.
On the floor.
Pledged to do so.
And what happened to that?
Yeah, because Congress people have what's called the speech. They have an immunity from prosecution against things that they say on the floor of the House. And so she could go out there right now and read the names of the accused, and she has not done so. She's a liar. She's also complicit in protecting these people. And but by the way, Donald Trump and the DOJ would have you believe that Jeffrey Epstein was a man, an island unto himself, forgive the pun, that he was working alone. He had he was just one man abusing hundreds, maybe 1,000 girls, and there was no one working with him, no one partaking in this depravity. And it strains reality to think that Donald Trump didn't play a role, that Elon Musk didn't play a role. It doesn't seem to line up with the way we understand the world to work. And when you have associates and you're participating in the when's the wildest party,
Yes. And also we have to say that there were accusations against Trump in this recent release, including the one that we've known about for over a decade now from a woman who claims that she was raped by Trump at one of Epstein's parties when she was 13 years old.
Katie Johnson, right?
And it begs the question, what happened with this tip? Did the FBI investigate this tip? Did the FBI move further on this tip? And also, it's extremely frustrating to me as someone who watches all of the press briefings, who watches all of Trump's press Q&As on Air Force One, that I knew it wouldn't happen, right? We get this Epstein release, and there's new accusations in the Epstein release, right? We've already known about these accusations, but there's new reveals in this particular dump of documents, right? And he wasn't asked about it. Why isn't he being asked about the claim that he raped a 13-year-old at one of Epstein's parties?
It should be put just like that. It should be phrased just like that. You've been accused of raping a child. What say you, sir? What say you, Mr. President?
Right, and let him lash out at you. Yeah. And by the way, there needs to be solidarity with these reporters, because even he just lashed out at another female reporter the other day who said, why are you suing the IRS for billions of dollars? Are you just trying to loot the treasury? What's going on here? And he's like, where are you from? ABC News lashed out at her. Everyone was silent in the room. He moved on to the next reporter. The next reporter was cautious, not wanting to speak right away. You should have asked the same question. You should have said, actually, that was my question.
Yeah. Silence is complicity, especially when holding the powerful account.
And then he lashes out at you. And then the next person says, actually, that was my question. Until you get to Mike Lindell's correspondent who's out there and who's just going to say, why is your hair so great, Donald Trump? Tell us how it falls in the perfect way. It's so chic.
So voluminous. So chic.
Okay. Shout out to Fleabag. So we have to talk about Prince Andrew because there's new photos of Prince Andrew.
Unfortunately, we have to talk about Prince Andrew.
And he's also continued to deny that there was ever criminal wrongdoing.
The brother of the King of England, a credibly accused rapist of children.
And there's now new photos of him on all fours.
Hovering over
someone who her face is redacted. So the assumption there being that she's
a victim.
Yeah. And the BBC News discussed these new revelations.
In and amongst the more than 180,000 images released are these pictures showing the then Prince Andrew kneeling over and touching a female whose identity has been hidden. There's no context, location or date provided. Andrew has always denied any criminal wrongdoing, but this latest batch of files once again contains items raising serious questions of judgment, not least an email exchange from 2010, long after his close friend Jeffrey Epstein had been convicted of sexual offences involving children, suggesting he meet with a 26-year-old Russian woman in London who he might enjoy having dinner with. Andrew replies he would be delighted to see her and adds, will she be bringing a message from you? Please give her my contact details to get in touch. Epstein writes back, she's 26, Russian, clever and beautiful, and yes, she has your email.
Wow.
Yeah. Very disturbing. And there was another reveal in another BBC news package where they said there was an email from Prince Andrew to Jeffrey Epstein on August 12th, 2010, and he wrote, that was quick. How are you? Good to be free?
Free from what? Oh, prison for your conviction in a procuring child prostitutes?
Yeah, so we also have to talk about Bill Gates.
Let's talk about Bill Gates, but very quickly, I want to commend the BBC there. Because they referred to the person in the photo whose face was redacted that Prince Andrew is hovering over like a fucking vulture, and referred to as a young female, unlike the U.S. media, which time and time again refers to them as young women.
Yes.
That is not what they are, or at the very least, we don't know. So refer to them as young females. We don't know if they are young women or if they are children. We don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so good on you, BBC.
No, that is a really good point, and I wish the media would do that because it is kind of tipping the scales. It is removing the discomfort with the realities, and I almost wonder if that's what it is, right? It's like well,
you can hear how uncomfortable. Did you hear Caitlin Collins in the interview with Jess Michaels?
Yeah, she almost couldn't tolerate it.
Didn't know how to what question to ask and where to go, and she's got an IFB in her ear connected to a producer, executive producer, who's feeding her questions too, and she just can't even get through it.
And I wonder how much of that is because of the access and fear of losing access and fear of saying the wrong thing, and then you no longer have access to the Trump White House.
So they're tiptoeing.
Right. Instead of just being a genuine human being who is showing outrage and disgust and siding with the people who are not in power and telling their stories and making sure that their story gets across in the way that it needs to be told. It's really disturbing when you think about how so many in the media are more concerned about continuing to ally with power than they are with the people who are victimized by these people in power.
Speaking of disturbing, let's move on to Bill Gates.
Yeah, so
unbelievable. I mean, very believable. But just another wildly wealthy billionaire who likely won't be held to account, even though now a lot of little pieces have come together that we knew from previous interviews, like with Melinda Gates, that all of these things are now like, oh, shit, that makes a lot more sense now.
Yes. So there was an email that Jeffrey Epstein sent to himself that in the subject line said Bill, and he sent it on Thursday, July 18th, 2013. And he's kind of ranting and raving in this message. It says, Dear Bill, like it's maybe something he intended to send to Bill Gates, or maybe he did at a later time and he was just drafting kind of this rant that he had. But, you know, he's kind of going on about how Bill is deciding to distance himself from Jeffrey Epstein and how Jeffrey Epstein is hurt by this and offended by this. And he goes on to write toward the end about how he had an STD and that
he meaning
Bill Gates, that he requested that Jeffrey Epstein provide Bill Gates with antibiotics that he could surreptitiously give to his wife, Melinda Gates. And also he writes, and the description of your penis. So not sure what's happening here. He writes, you also make it clear to me that I am not to refer to blank, as that is another topic that must remain between the two of us. So he's like describing these secrets that they have, that he wanted Jeffrey Epstein to procure antibiotics for an STD to surreptitiously, secretly give to Melinda Gates. Very disturbing stuff. As we know, when Melinda Gates and Bill Gates announced their divorce, when they were talking about the causes of this divorce, one of the causes was apparently affairs that Bill Gates had, and specifically his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein that upset Melinda Gates. Before we get to an interview with her in 2022 with Gayle King, I just want to say Bill Gates has released a statement. He says that the claims in the Jeffrey Epstein email are absolutely absurd and completely false. So that is his statement. Some people haven't made statements yet. Okay.
Yeah.
And so he's at least made a statement, not a defense at all. It's still horrifying, but I'm shocked really by the number of people that have not made statements. It's kind of surprising to me.
Well, they think their money is and it might. Their money might insulate them from consequence here.
It's also surprising to me, given the emails that have come out and a lot of these people that have been silent. What were they telling themselves? Were they telling themselves that these emails would never come out? Were they just pretending and trying to self-soothe and tell themselves that no one would find out? I mean, what I really would like to know the logic. I'll never find out, but
yeah.
I'm very curious about what the logic is there. But Melinda Gates did sit down with Gayle King in 2022, and she specifically talked about Jeffrey Epstein. And I think this is a useful interview because for all of the men who now say that they regret their interactions with Jeffrey Epstein, and of course we all know now that he was a bad guy up to no good. There were people who knew right away because it was obvious that he was a disgusting human being.
Let's very quickly, we just heard Howard Lutnick say that very same thing.
Right.
The first time I met him, I'm like, I never want to be around that creep again. Yet Donald Trump maintained a very close friendship for a decade and a half. Yet Bill Gates is cavorting with him. Yet Elon Musk is begging to go to the wildest parties at the Rape Island.
Yet Howard Lutnick is wanting to have drinks with him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Melinda Gates is one of those people who, when she met Jeffrey Epstein, the one time that she met him, was immediately like, this is a guy that is disgusting that I never want to be around again.
You know, it was also widely reported that Bill had a friendship or business or some kind of contact with Jeffrey Epstein, and that you were not, that was very upsetting to you. Did that play a role in the divorce at all in this process?
Yeah, as I said, it's not one thing, it was many things. But I did not like that he'd had meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you made that clear to him?
I made that clear to him. I also met Jeffrey Epstein exactly one time.
Did you?
Yes, because I wanted to see who this man was. And I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door. He was abhorrent. He was evil personified. I had nightmares about it afterwards. So, you know, my heart breaks for these young women because that's how I felt. And here I'm an older woman. My God, I feel terrible for those young women. It's awful.
You felt that the moment you walked in? I didn't realize
that. He was awful.
That. Yeah. And you shared that with Bill, and he still continued to spend time with him?
Any of the questions remaining about what Bill's relationship there was, those are for Bill to answer.
Okay.
But I made it very clear how I felt about him.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole bunch here, but let's start with the fact that even Melinda Gates is doing the thing and calling them young women. Jeffrey Epstein raped a 14-year-old, was convicted for raping a 14-year-old girl. It's not a young woman, that's a child. That is a fucking child. A child who in many states across this country can't make her own decision relative to get an abortion if indeed she was impregnated by Jeffrey Epstein. Child can't buy a car, can't sign a contract. Child, not a young woman.
Yeah, I'm I'm happy that you're bringing this up because I'm wondering how much of this is a cultural issue surrounding our inability to sit in discomfort and tolerate discomfort.
Very well could be.
And like even the impulse that we have when we're having a conversation with someone to like not be in conflict with them and to not create a conflict. You know, so many people are conflict averse, not me and you, whether unfortunately or fortunately. But I think that is the tendency. And that's why there's so much deference to these liars that come on TV, all these politicians on the Sunday news shows or, you know, whatever night of the week. And they're like, oh, thank you so much for your time at the end after they've just lied and insulted your intelligence and been just a horrible human being. It's like we can't speak frankly about the realities that are right in front of our faces. It's strange. But when you heard Melinda Gates at the end there specifically say, she chose her words very carefully. And even when you watch her on video, you can tell she's working pretty hard to choose her words carefully there. She's like, any questions about Bill's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein are going to be up to him to answer for.
Yeah, listen, it's very likely that she is bound legally by restrictions in a divorce settlement of non-disclosure, and she's not legally able to say things without severe legal consequence. So she's doing the best she can. If you've got questions about Bill Gates and his relationship with the child rapist, you need to go talk to Bill. Those are questions for him. They're really putting the onus on him and the fire back to him.
Yeah, and listen, we still have this conversation constantly where we're fielding voicemails and comments from MAGA people who were like, and what about Bill Clinton? And he's in the Epstein Files. Yeah, I don't care. I have previously had positive things to say about Bill Gates. If he is a rapist and he was complicit in doing this and he's surreptitiously giving antibiotics to Melinda because she has STDs that he got from Epstein's parties, why would I want anything to do with ever supporting anything that Bill Gates has to say or do? Of course, it's the same with Bill Clinton. I didn't even go to Bill Clinton talking the night that he did at the DNC. I don't believe any of these people should have any support. So yeah, don't come at me talking about Bill Clinton. I don't give a shit about Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton is a sexual predator. There's going to be all kinds of people, oh, how dare you? He's a Democrat. You can't say that. We know what he did to Paula Jones. He was disbarred for his lies about Paula Jones. I also believe that he raped Juanita Broaddrick. A lot of Democrats don't want to hear it because she's a right-wing troll and she's an objectionable POS, but that doesn't mean that she couldn't have been victim of rape. If you go listen to the Slow Burn podcast put out by Slate, which isn't some conservative media outlet, they pretty much come to the conclusion with evidence that he indeed did rape Juanita Broaddrick. He needs to fucking burn. I don't give a single fuck about Bill Clinton. You know why? Because he's a credibly accused rapist. Democrat, Republican, independent, I don't care. I want him held accountable.
Yeah. So
it's not a team fucking thing.
It's really not. And it is kind of funny when we get treated like we participate in that because we'd be a lot more successful if we did. All right.
No kidding.
So aside from the Epstein Files release, we also had the FBI raiding election offices this week. And this is something that's particularly concerning because there's all this conversation of what are our elections going to look like going forward when you have a man in the White House who very openly doesn't want to cede power. I mean, he jokes about the 2028 election and
sometimes you need a dictator, he says with his mouth at the World Economic Forum in Davos.
And I'm saying jokes, but I don't perceive them as jokes. I perceive them as someone who is, manufacturing consent for a future lawless takeover because he refuses to believe that anyone could possibly be disinterested in him or dislike him or not want him to be president. And so part of the raid on the Fulton County, Georgia office from the FBI is apparently about these lies that he continues to believe about the 2020 election being stolen. Now, a strange aspect of this is that the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was present at the raid, almost in photos that seemed like there's something out of a movie set.
Yeah, like she was trying to hide and shit.
Yeah, like she's looking around the corner over her shoulder with her cell phone up to her ear. I mean, very strange situation. And that has not been explained. Why was Tulsi Gabbard, as the director of national intelligence, present for the raid on the election office in Fulton County, Georgia?
There would have to be a foreign nexus of interference for her to be there, to be justified in having anything to do with the operation whatsoever. If this is just a law enforcement exercise, she has no role. She has no constitutional, no legal, no statutory role to play as the director of national intelligence, which is an umbrella organization over the CIA and the NSA and the DIA and the 17 alphabet organizations that maintain our national security status based on their intelligence analysis and collection. It's illegal for her to fucking be there and have anything to do with it.
Right. And so the previous press conference that I talked about with Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, who is overseeing this political project of redacting names of abusers implicated in the Epstein sex trafficking operation and unredacting names of victims and defending those choices and saying that they're going to withhold photos of death and physical injury when there's emails about torture videos. You know that, Todd Blanche?
Do you mean the Todd Blanche who was Donald Trump's criminal defense attorney? That Todd Blanche, who now has a very lofty position in the federal government as the Deputy Attorney General. That
is
guy?
Right. Soulless, spineless Todd Blanche. That is right. Todd Blanche, during that press conference, the Epstein DOJ latest release press conference this week, he was asked directly, why was Tulsi Gabbard there? And he had such a strange reaction to the question.
To follow up on that, regarding Fulton County, can you explain Tulsi Gabbard's role in DOJ activity? Could you please explain Tulsi Gabbard's role in DOJ activity regarding the Fulton County search?
What do you mean her role?
It was reported that
she happened to be present in Atlanta. I mean, yes, I saw the same photos you did. I mean, she doesn't work for the Department of Justice or the FBI. She's an extraordinarily important part of this administration. This administration coordinates everything we do as a group. And so I think her presence shouldn't be, there shouldn't be questioned. Of course, I mean, that's a big part of her job. And so the fact that she was present in Atlanta that day, is just something that shouldn't surprise anybody.
It shouldn't be questioned, he said. And then he does the lawyer thing. What do you mean her role?
Right.
Define. Let's really parse the word role. What do you mean by that?
Right.
She's a very important member of this administration, and she has no legal predicate, no legal justification, no legal means for being there. She's the director of national intelligence. Why is she there in a law enforcement capacity with the Department of Justice while the FBI raids, hiding behind walls on her phone, trying to be out of view? Why? Why, Todd Blanche?
You would think that these people would be better liars by now, because he's like, she has a very important role. That's her job, he said. And then he's like, she just happened to be visiting. And if she happens to be visiting and wants to kind of be around in the general vicinity, then that's her right, okay?
Listen, normally she sees these people in D.C. She's just on like a little vacation trip. My friends are here. I want to go see my friends. Is he fucking kidding?
Yeah, so again, it's...
This is how stupid they believe the totality of the American electorate is. They certainly know how stupid MAGA is.
And this is the frustrating part, because I remember before Donald Trump took office again, we knew that he had been reelected, but before he took office, I remember sitting around with some friends who say that they're on the left, and they were like, they're going to be so incompetent. Everyone's going to be so incompetent that they won't even be able to do anything. It's just going to be a bunch of incompetent people that get in there.
Smash cut to citizen executions in the street of Minneapolis.
Yeah, and it's like, what were you talking about? I mean, where is that, like a movie that you watched that you heard that? Where did you hear that? Because This is very obviously not how it goes. You can put incompetent people in place who are eager and excited to do illegal things and to violate people's rights left and right, to protect their power and to put money into their own pockets. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Donald Trump is funneling as much money as he can into his pockets. All of these people are happy to sell their souls to join, to have just a little glimpse into putting that money into their own pockets, a little chance at putting that money into their own pockets. And it's grotesque. Todd Blanche is doing this too. And because of the lawlessness on the streets of Minneapolis and in many cities across the country at the hands of ICE agents who are eager to violate rights, who are being told to violate rights.
Who are being told they don't even need warrants at all to make arrests in the street now. Yeah. That's what they're being told by the Department of Justice or by the Department of Homeland Security.
One of the big questions since the murder of Alex Pretti is what happened to his gun, number one, and what happened to his cell phone, because he was recording the interactions with ICE at that time, and people want to see what happened to his video. So during the same press conference, Todd Blanche was asked about both of those things. Where is Alex Pretti's gun, and where is his cell phone?
Question about the evidence in the Alex Pretti investigation. Early on, our reporting showed that the only type of evidence that the FBI initially had in its possession that it was processing for ballistics and DNA, et cetera, was Pretti's firearm. It did not have the two firearms that were used to shoot Pretti. Those were in the hands of HSI, and also there were concerns about chain of custody, things not being properly bagged and tagged, et cetera. Where are the guns now? Are they in the FBI's possession and being reviewed at one of their labs? And who has the phone that Pretti was using and filming? And is that going to be reviewed by the FBI?
I don't know. I don't have an answer to those questions. Look, I think that Secretary Noem is been clear with the American people, but also with the Department of Justice that we're doing this together. We're coordinating, and so I'm not following in the weeds about who actually has possession of the firearms that were discharged.
Wouldn't that be something the FBI would need in order to conduct a thorough investigation into this is obviously a color of law case.
When I said I didn't know, I wasn't being critical of the question. I was just simply saying I don't know.
He's the fucking worst.
What is the point of even asking these people questions? I mean, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't think it's something you should know? Yeah, I just said I don't know. Awesome. Yeah, fantastic. Don't know anything. Then why are you here?
Yeah, it's so disturbing.
It's a cover-up. It's another cover-up. Anything they do wrong, they cover up. They argue in court that they can destroy evidence, that they should be able to destroy evidence of their crimes, of their execution of citizens. They disarm the man and then they shoot him in the back 12 times. And Todd Blanche doesn't feel an obligation to have any details as he goes into a press conference to answer questions.
And it really speaks to the importance of witnesses, because we would be nowhere without the many different people who had their phones out and were filming what happened to Alex Pretti. It would have been that much easier for the government to attempt to lie and cover up this murder without numerous people who decided to also put themselves at risk. And one of those people is named Kayla Schultz. So some witnesses are coming forward now after uploading their videos and having their perspective, their video footage that they filmed go viral. Kayla is the one who was in the car right in front. Alex Pretti was murdered right in front of her vehicle. So through her windshield, you can see the fight taking place, and then he is murdered right in front of her vehicle. So she was filming from inside her car. But what we didn't know, because it wasn't on that video, is that she had previously had an interaction with ICE, which illustrates so much of how these people are operating in the streets with their brutality and their aggression. And we saw that when we were on the ground in Minneapolis, how aggressive these people are to observers, not even people who are protesting, people who are observing their actions. They feel like they can go over and brutalize those people. And that's what happened to Kayla. So this is Kayla sitting down with Anderson to share a little bit about her story and what she saw.
Kayla Schultz is speaking for the first time on camera since the killing she witnessed. I talked to her earlier. First, we want to warn you, some of the conversation has graphic language and images.
What made you decide to start documenting what's happening?
Well, it's because that's all we can really do at this point. What has happened in my city is absolutely devastating to me. I have witnessed and I've seen videos of my neighbors being kidnapped, And I know that all we can really do at this point is make some noise, make our voices heard, and film them so that they don't go missing without a trace, so that we can at least record their names and try to get contact information for their family or friends so that they know what has happened to them.
Saturday morning, how did you come to be there?
I received a notification. I was already out and about, and I went there with my whistle and my phone so that I could do what little I can in order to try to protect my neighbors.
Your video is really important because it's not only a different angle on things we have seen, but you also capture things that we haven't seen in other videos. What did you see before the video?
Before the video even starts, several federal agents crossed the street to come over to my window to tell me that I was obstructing, and they would pull me out of my car and arrest me for that. I told them I wasn't obstructing anything. We exchanged some not so nice words back and forth. The last thing that federal agent who came up to my window said, and he screamed it at the top of his lungs right in my face, was that I'm a fucking
Have you ever had a law enforcement officer say anything like that?
No, absolutely not. No one's ever actually called me that word at all.
Were you scared?
I was scared, but I absolutely refuse to show them that I'm scared. I think, and we saw this in the video, that they feed off of that. They want us to be afraid, and they want us to be intimidated.
They feed off it?
Yes.
That's, in your personal experience, that's what you have seen?
Yes. I think that is one of their goals.
The word that they bleeped was fucking cunt. That a masked agent of Donald Trump, a secret police member, screamed in this woman's face, who was just documenting what was taking place from her car, not impeding, not obstructing, from her car, from the safety of her car, was filming, and he felt emboldened to scream in her face, "You're a fucking cunt." It tells you exactly where they are in their headspace. They believe they are untouchable. They believe they have absolute immunity from consequence, like the Vice President of the United States told them they do.
Yeah, and like I said, it maps on exactly to what we saw when we were in Minneapolis and how they are completely emboldened. They know that they have the power of the federal government behind them, that as soon as they do something wrong, the government will mobilize to roll out the most powerful people to go on TV and to call the murdered individuals domestic terrorists, to lie about their reputations, to lie about who they were as human beings, and to falsely claim while they're calling them a domestic terrorist after 5 minutes that they're going to have an investigation. And then they move whoever's responsible for the murder out of the city to protect them. They start GoFundMes so that all of the MAGA people who are, can't talk because the boot is stuck in their mouth is, mobilizing to give money to these murderers. I mean, it's like everything about it is so outrageous. And I think that's what's difficult in this moment of covering these stories is it's just 5 alarm fires everywhere you look, that it's hard to keep track. It's hard to stay focused. It's hard to know where to dedicate your time and energy. And I think the way to combat that is to choose, what area you are most passionate about right now.
Absolutely. And
really dedicate your time to focusing on that and where your energy can be placed and where you feel like you're making a difference.
And the problem lies in the fact that, ICE is a problem and we all need to be paying attention to it. We all need to be protesting it. But if we all only focus on one thing, other elements and other aspects of people's liberty and freedom and human rights are going to be trampled upon. There's just as emboldened as ICE agents are right now. There are these Christian nationalist group, these white Christian nationalist group, these family values conservatives out there who also feel emboldened, who also feel that they can be as evil as they want and trample on the rights after years of people saying, no, marriage rights of gay people and the LGBTQ community, it's already settled law. How many times have you heard that in confirmation hearings? Well, now there's a movement afoot from another emboldened group of ghouls that are looking to overturn marriage equality in the United States.
Marriage is actually the most basic institution of human civilization.
When Obergefell redefined marriage to include same-sex couples, it was billed as a win for adult equality. In reality, it created inequality for children. It made our children less than.
When you redefine marriage, you redefine parenthood. When you make mothers and fathers optional in parenthood law, children are harmed.
We now have these trite phrases like love makes a family, or all you need is just love. As long as your physical needs are met and someone is cheering you on, then apparently you'll grow up fine.
But the kids aren't fine. The kids haven't been fine for quite some time.
You redefine marriage, you have just destroyed the house. You can put together a new house and claim it's the same. Children will know the difference. It harms children in virtually every way imaginable.
We're prioritizing the fantasies of adults, no matter how earnestly those fantasies are felt, over the real needs and the real good of children.
The data that we have says two things. Number one, children do best when they are raised in a home with married, biological mom and dad. The other thing we know from research is that moms don't dad and dads don't mom. It's not enough to say kids just need loving parents, because kids need a particular kind of parent. And parenting comes in two forms, moms and dads.
When you look at social science, it says beyond a shadow of a doubt that children that grow up in a loving two-parent biological home, mom and dad, those children will do best.
There is something primal about our relationship with the two people who gave us life.
Every single child, every single human being is the living embodiment of the relationship between exactly one man and one woman.
It's a mother and a father that bring forth children into the world, and that's by design, because those children need a mother and a father.
There's two legitimate ways to unite a child to adults. The first one is biology. If you made the baby, that baby has a claim to you. The second pathway is adoption, where a child has suffered loss, and a just society responds by placing them with parents who have undergone screening and vetting and background checks to, as much as possible, replicate the kind of protectiveness that a biological mother and father would offer the child. That's not what's happening today.
Marriage policy should be about the children. It's not about bestowing public policy legitimacy and conferring economic benefits when it comes to adults who have their own idiosyncratic romantic desires. That's not the purpose of marriage policy.
Redefining marriage robs children of the natural right to their mother and father.
And it puts adult desires over children's needs. It has to stop. Children
are greater.
Children
are greater.
Children are greater
than equal.
And it's time we fought for their rights.
Yes.
How many of those people had emailed Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, will somebody think of the children as the president who will enact their policy wildest dreams is credibly accused of raping little girls? And by the way, all of that you heard, even the things where they're acting like they're citing statistics and research, those are lies. Research does not follow their opinion or back their opinion about the most healthy thing for a child is to have a mother and a father. It's just not true.
Well,
also, it's just saying words. There's no evidence to anything they're saying, and the evidence that does exist counters what they say.
Well, and again, they don't care about research, though. I mean, these are people who still spank their kids. These are people who beat their kids. These are people who think that you need to be authoritative in your home and you can't lose control of your house. And when we know that spanking harms kids, these are people that raise their kids from birth, telling them that they're inherently evil.
Yeah.
And then they become adults and they have religious trauma that they then have to enter therapy to repair. These are people who they claim that they support research. They won't even vaccinate their kids. They're against vaccinations. They're the reason that measles is surging. Measles that can linger for 2 hours in the air and that is infecting anyone who's not vaccinated. Some of these vaccination rates in these schools in South Carolina, 20% vaccination rates, okay? That's who's leading the charge.
You need 90 to 95% vaccination rates to have herd immunity for measles.
I mean, it's so absurd. They're tying parental fitness to sexual orientation, acting as though if you're heterosexual, that automatically means you're a fit parent. That's not what makes someone a fit parent. It's extremely disturbing because this is an organization that is called Greater Than Campaign, and their colors are the same colors as the Human Rights Campaign, navy and yellow, and they're essentially trying to make this a child's rights argument. But again, you've heard us talking about the Epstein Files this whole time. There's a party in this country that is filled with people who were giddy about allying with a child sexual predator, including Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, who was acting like Jeffrey Epstein's a disgusting person. Lo and behold, in his emails, he's desperate to get in that guy's inner circle. The numerous individuals who have pretended that they care about child rights and they care about child protection. How many stories have we heard of Donald Trump seeing a little girl going down the escalator and he turns to her and says he's going to be dating her in a few years? Who looks at a child and thinks, I'm going to have sex with that child in a few years?
Yeah.
Okay? That's what that means when he says that.
Also, there's many of these people who are in the ilk of Christian nationalism that believe women that the 19th Amendment should be repealed and women shouldn't have the right to vote, that a household should have the right to vote, a household that is led by a man who's the spiritual blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, at every turn, these people make it clear they don't care about scientific evidence.
Yeah.
They elevate the people who are promoting unscientific, anti-science views, people like RFK, people like Marty McCary, people like anyone who's at charge at HHS or FDA right now. These are people who will say out of one side of their mouth, the research says, while having zero scientific training and zero interest in what science actually says. So I am disturbed because there are many people who are married who are now going to feel targeted by this organization, who do feel targeted, who rightly feel targeted because they are being targeted.
Yeah, but will not find comfort in the protection of this Supreme Court. This 6-3 Supreme Court filled with radicals who believe in regression and bringing us back prior to a time where we valued human rights. There was a time in this country, it should come as no shock to anybody, that we had less respect for human rights than we do right now. And they want to bring us back there. That's the making America great again element of all of this.
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway, we'd love to know what you think about these stories. We have one more for you. But before that, I want to drop the phone number, 657-464-7609. And of course, as always, you can email idoubtit@dollemore.com. If you want to help support this work, there's patreon.com/idoubtitpodcast. For $2 a month, you can help support this work and help produce this show. And we're going to leave you with this.
It's the asshole of today.
Brooke Rollins, the Interior Secretary.
Secretary of Agriculture.
Agriculture Secretary.
Yes, and she's always banging on about the food stamps and talking about, how poor people are the source of all of your problems.
They love to talk about the American dream. It is such a jingoistic, meaningless thing to talk about anymore. It's just gross.
Yeah, it's also a nebulous term. What does it actually mean? So many people put their own meaning on the American dream. But if I were to boil it down in terms of what Brooke Rollins is going to be talking about here, many people believe that the American dream means this, that you can be born into any situation, including one where you don't have a lot of resources, and through hard work and opportunity, you can build yourself up to being Elon Musk, and that's available to everyone on Earth. Isn't that exciting? Everyone in America.
If you grift hard enough, you can be a Donald Trump too.
Yeah, what they don't tell you is that you have to exploit everyone around you in order to attain that status. They don't tell you that part, but let's hear from Brooke Rollins, who is now bragging about how many people they have kicked off of food stamps.
And the American dream is not being on food stamp program, right? The American dream is not being on all these programs. That should be a hand up, not a handout. And so, yes, we were talking right before on camera. This is news. We haven't released it yet. But as of yesterday, we have moved 1.75 million people off of SNAP. 1,750,000 people that were on the food stamp program when the president was sworn in 1 year ago have now moved off. A stronger economy, higher wages. I mean, this is what we're fighting for every day. Not bigger programs, smaller programs, people to have real jobs, real health care, a real opportunity for their children and their grandchildren. And these are the numbers that make it so.
Now, of course, the question, there was no follow-up because this is Fox News. But the question should have been asked, well, how many of that 1,750,000 people that you've kicked off of food assistance are children? How many of them are children who need to eat and be nourished, to go to school, to learn, to be productive members of this economy, of this consumer existence that we have? How many of them are children who are now going to be hungry? They have no choice in the matter that they were born poor at all.
Not just that. I want to know where those people are now. Are they dead? Are they now hungry? Are they working?
Well, American dream, Brittany Page. American dream.
Yeah.
Didn't you hear what she said about the American dream?
Sure, but celebrating the number of people who have been essentially kicked off of a program isn't necessarily a win, because the question is, well, what happened to those people? Did they get kicked off because, like we love to see with this administration, or like this administration loves to do, is put in place means testing and put in place things like work requirements and implement these roadblocks that are designed to get people off of these programs, like we see so often with Medicaid, where they institute work requirements in certain states with Medicaid. And then what happens? People can't access health care that they desperately need, even though they may be working the minimum required hours. They can't upload those hours. There's too many hurdles in place for them to be able to prove that they're working. So instead, they just go without health care and then get sicker and then have a catastrophe and then end up in emergency rooms. And then the taxpayer is covering for that. So you see how all of these problems end up getting worse because you're trying to simply kick people off programs rather than acknowledging fraud in these programs is so minimal that it really isn't even worth worrying about.
Yeah, the fraud, the percentage of fraud, the dollars that go that are wasted or fraud or abuse or whatever, they are less than the cost to administer the means testing programs.
Right.
So when they do work requirements and all this to monitor that program and stand that program up and get it up and running, costs orders of magnitude more than the fraud it's trying to combat.
Yeah,
they don't care about that.
They'll pay millions of dollars to Deloitte to design the work requirements and to institute the program when they could have just used those millions of dollars to pay for people who need healthcare access. So again, it's the same lies that we're always told. We're told it's supposed to be a hand up, not a hand out. Well, is it a hand up for those people that have moved off of the program? Because most people use food stamps for a period of time when they need them, when they lose a job, when their spouse dies, when they're in a catastrophic situation and they desperately need access to food. So they go on this program and then they go off the program when they don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the reality. All of the lies that they tell about, oh, you can just go in and go to Costco and buy 1 million steaks and then live the high life.
Right.
Well, then go do that. Go apply for food stamps. And go and live the high life on the food stamps. If that's what you think everyone's doing, and it's so easy to do, it's what everyone does.
Gross.
Then go fucking do it. How about that?
This just in from a listener correspondent on what they think about Brooke Rollins.
She's not a Christian!
Oh, God. We still need the other one. The
Dark-sided?
Yeah, dark-sided.
Dark-sided! We're going to leave you there. Again, I know I just dropped the phone number. We're going to do it again. 657-464-7609. Of course, you can always email us, idoubted@dollemore.com. We'd love to hear from you.
And don't forget those eyeball diagnoses as well. Let me know.
Oh, you're crowdsourcing the healthcare.
Yeah,
That's good. That's
America.
Maybe not going to work out too great.
America.
Anyway, we love and appreciate you very much. We do want to hear from you. We will see you next time. Until we see you next time, for Brittany Page, I'm Jesse Dollemore, and this has been episode 962 of I Doubt It.